In this video, we're going to focus on installing the Android Software Development Kit, or SDK, as well as the Android Development Tools, or ADT, plugin for Eclipse, both of which are available from the website that you see on the screen here, developer.android.com/SDK. Now, as I've mentioned previously, you can develop for Android on the Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux platforms. And of course, again, you do want to make sure that your system meets the minimum SDK system requirements before you begin this entire process. Now, for Windows, we have two different ways to download the SDK. One is as a zip archive, the other is via an executable installer. For the other platforms, we simply have archive files that we can download. If you download an archive file for a given platform, all you need to do after it completes the download is extract that archive file to a location on your disk and keep track of where you extract it to, so that we can configure the ADT plugin properly later on. Now, I am operating on Windows, and you can see here for Windows they recommend the executable installer. However, because of the fact that I want this video to be usable by everyone, I chose to download just the archive file. So go ahead and choose the appropriate archive file for your platform, and once it's finished downloading, go ahead and open up and extract that archive. So I've already actually done this. I double-clicked on my zip file in Windows. It showed me the Android SDK Windows folder, which I simply dragged directly onto my C drive. And I'll go there now so you can see that folder. Now, within the SDK folder, there are three subfolders: Add-ons, Platforms, and Tools. The Add-ons folder is where various API add-ons will get installed. The Platforms folder is where the actual Android platforms for development purposes will be installed. And the Tools folder, which I'll go ahead and open and is pre-populated here, is where you'll find all the different tools for Android development. Now, those tools can be used from the command line, but they can also be used by the ADT plugin for Eclipse to allow you to do Android development directly in Eclipse. On Windows, you'll also have these two executable files, the AVD Manager and the SDK Manager, that will allow you to set up the SDKs that you wish to use, the platforms that you wish to use, I should say, and to create Android virtual devices for testing your apps on the computer before you get to the point of developing them on actual Android devices or testing them on actual Android devices. Now, once you've got the Android SDK downloaded and extracted, the next step is going to be to install the ADT plugin. Now, at the time of this video, the current version of the ADT plugin is 15.0.1, and these tools have grown substantially and improved substantially since I first began working on our companion book, Android for Programmers: An App-Driven Approach, and on these videos as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click the link for the ADT plugin, and you'll see there's another link within the page for installing the plugin. And you can see the instructions here downloading the ADT plugin, which is what we're going to demonstrate for you now. I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL because we will need that inside of Eclipse. So let's go switch over to Eclipse. And to install software in Eclipse, you use the option in the help menu called Install New Software. And we're going to add a new site for software installations to Eclipse here, and we're going to do that by hitting the Add button. You can name the site whatever you want. I'll just call it Android Downloads, and for the location I'll paste in that URL that I copied directly from the installing the ADT plugin website. Now, at the moment, it's communicating with that URL, and as you see, it now displays developer tools. I'll expand that node so that you can see that there are several different tools that will be installed. And to install the ADT plugin, click the top level checkbox, which automatically selects all of the other ones. Now, in this package of tools, you have not only the base Android development tools, you also have, which by the way I should say allows you to create your apps, compile your apps, etc. But you also have a key tool called the DDMS tool, the Dalvik Debug Monitor Server. When you're dealing with Android, it uses a different virtual machine from Java. It's called the Dalvik virtual machine, and they've built in some really nice hooks that allow the DDMS tools to interact with that virtual machine so that you can get lots of information about the app that's running either in an AVD or on an actual device that's hooked up to your computer. In addition, the Dalvik debug monitor server tools allow you to interact with an AVD to do things like simulate an SMS message coming in or a phone call coming in, and many other capabilities as well. So you will want to install all of those tools. I'll go ahead and hit next, and it's going to just check the requirements and dependencies, and then it's going to want me to confirm the items that are being installed, so I'll go ahead and do that and hit next. I then have to accept the license agreements for all these tools, and you can select each one to see what the license terms are. However, if you don't accept these terms, then you can't use the ADT plugin to develop for Android. So just keep that in mind if you choose not to accept the license terms. I'll go ahead and hit finish, and now it's going to perform the actual installation of the ADT plugin tools. You may get this warning, a security warning that's saying that the software contains unsigned content. For whatever reason, the folks at Google chose not to put digital signatures on this content. If you're concerned, you can go ahead and look at the details here, but I'm just going to go ahead and click OK and let it finish the installation of the ADT plugin, at which point we are then told that we need to restart the IDE, or we can apply the changes now directly. I'll select restart just to make sure everything gets installed correctly. Now once the IDE comes back up, we need to tell the ADT plugin where the Android development tools, the Android SDK, is actually located on our computer. So let's see here. There we go. It's now waiting for me to confirm which workspace that I want to open. You can always set that as the default and never have it ask you again if you would like. If you work with multiple workspaces, as I sometimes do, you probably don't want to have that checked, but you can always change workspaces directly inside the IDE. So I'll click OK and let it open that back up. And as soon as the window pops up on the screen here, I'm going to sometimes get this message indicating that the Android SDK seems to be missing. So when this happens, you can go ahead and click OK, and we're going to go to the Window and Preferences, and under Android you'll see that you can send usage statistics to Google. This will come up only once. If you want to send them, leave this checked. If you don't want to send them, uncheck it. And then make sure that the SDK location is set up properly. This is the location where I happen to have placed the SDK on my system, and of course I can click Browse if that's not populated properly, and I can then go select the folder on my hard drive, click OK, at which point it will put that folder back up here, and I can click OK again to set the location of the SDK tools. So at this point I have now configured my Android development tools for development. The next step is going to be to configure which platforms we want to be able to develop for in terms of Android versions, which we'll do in the next video.